Good afternoon to you. I'm just thinking about an anniversary today. It's not a pleasant anniversary for me. It's basically 60 years ago today that my father died. I was 11 years old, and I think I might have told this story before, but I was sitting in the lounge. I remember sitting on the floor. I'm sure I was eating a packet of crisps. My father was in hospital. He'd been taken ill with a brain tumour something like 7 or 8 days earlier. My grandmother came up behind me, and her words to me were, as far as I can remember, "You've got no father anymore." And I was just sitting here in my car waiting for my wife to come out with her shopping, and I was thinking of the way words impact on one. Not just words, I've spoken about that before, but the impact, the reaction that people's words have on one, and how it sticks with you through life. And I can remember that incident as though it was yesterday and as though it was 60 years ago. And I began thinking about Scripture, about the complete opposite of what words can do and the way we can speak to one another. And I'd like to just share with you out of 1 Peter chapter 2 a few verses here. "Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and all hypocrisies and envies and evil speakings, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. If so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God and precious. Ye also as lively stones are being built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Jesus Christ." And those were the words that sort of struck me, as how we build one another up with what we say. The things that we can say to encourage one another, to strengthen one another. My grandmother could have come to me, put her arms around me and said, "Stuart, I have some bad news for you. Your father has passed away." And she might have comforted me, and I might have burst into tears. I don't know. All I can remember is that I was quite stunned. I never said a word. And I seem to remember going outside at some point and speaking to my little friends that lived opposite to me, that were my age. I remember them, I suppose to an extent as a child can sympathise with another child. And I think I remember saying something like, "Well, my father didn't leave us much money, or he left us penniless," or something like that. Which wasn't quite the case, but I think that in the mind of a child, one felt sort of desolate in every way. And we did have to move out of our house, actually. We had a nice house, and I remember we had to leave it and sell it up and move into something else that was quite different. We had quite a different lifestyle after my father had died. And of course, I suppose many of you that are listening to me today probably have been through similar. You've lost a parent at an early age, and it's changed the way you live, changed your whole perspective on life as well. And I'm an only child, so I didn't have brothers and sisters, siblings around me that I could sort of share the burden with. It was just me and my mum that were left. And I'm not saying that to look for any sort of sympathy today. I'm just saying this as by virtue of thoughts and the importance of words and the importance of building one another up in the holy faith, as it says here in Peter. A spiritual house, and how we need one another in these times. I see on YouTube and other platforms how we're being bombarded by so many prophetic ministries that are saying the Antichrist is here, the beast system is rising. I say it myself, I'm just as guilty as anyone else. So I just thought I'd bring those thoughts to you. Because Peter is saying that we're lively stones. It's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? It's almost like an oxymoron. How can a stone be alive? But We are alive. We're alive in a way that people that don't know Jesus are not alive. And so, as lively stones, we've been given lively tongues, lively minds, lively thoughts that we can share with one another. As the word says somewhere else, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, think on these things. Speak those things out to one another, especially in these dark days. I just thought I'd share that with you, and pray you have a blessed evening, and I'll be back again soon.